I will go and deal with the Situ family and Wang family. I'll cut off the loose ends. Now. Tang Linzhen tried to talk her out of it. That's too soon. I understand that you're powerful, but the two families still have a lot of remaining forces. They will be on guard against you on their home bases. We'll take care of this mess here and then discuss it. I'll send someone over with you, okay? No, I don't have time. I myself will suffice. No time. Tang Linzhen was surprised. What do you have to do? Tang Ruyan didn't answer. Miss, please listen to him. It is too dangerous for you. I agree. Please, let us talk about it. Those two families aren't easy, the elders were trying to stop her. Before they could finish talking, they heard a loud noise and felt the ground shake. A swirl appeared in front of Tang Ruyan and from it emerged a leg with fur as sharp as needles. The behemoth showed itself. It was a bloodthirsty, primitive beast with a pair of golden eyes. Tang Linzhen and the elders were struck dumb. A beast king? There was no doubt that it was a beast king. Those men stood stiff on the ground. The beast king was even more terrifying than the two that attacked them in the beginning. The terrifying aura of the beast king left them cold. They felt their lives could be drained at any minute. Whoosh! Tang Ruyan suddenly disappeared. A second later, they saw her on the beast king's shoulder. I'll be back soon, Tang Ruyan declared as she looked down at Tang Linzhen and the elders from a height. She saw Tang Ruya from the corner of her eye. She felt she caught a glimpse of a girl who had once been her small tail. She caught a glimpse of a girl that would brush against her indifferently. Time went by gradually. Time would change many things beyond all recognition. She said nothing. Even with her outstanding powers, she could not change the past and she couldn't dial back time. She could never go back to the time when that girl would always be awfully clingy when she was around. Farewell, she said to herself. Was she bidding farewell to those people? Was she saying goodbye to her childhood? Tang Ruyan was the only one who knew. Sister. Tang Ruya gazed at Tang Ruyan in a daze. The Beast King stirred up a gust of wind, blowing Tang Ruya's hair back. She would never forget what she was seeing right then. All of a sudden, Tang Ruya felt she had traveled back to her childhood. She would always be with her big sister. It was such a distant feeling that she had forgotten all about it. But she had just remembered it. It was a feeling of security. Her big sister would always be there to protect her. She remembered how her big sister would smile and how tender she was. Tang Ruya clenched her fingers with so much force that she didn't even know her palms were bleeding. Let's go, Tang Ruyan looked away and told the Beast King. Coldness had returned to her eyes. She pointed to a direction, the base city where the Wang family was located. Bang! That Beast King bent its limbs and dashed away. The ground shook, alerting people in the distance. With a leap, the Beast King ran across the battlefield. The countless battle pet warriors were startled by the massive shadow moving across the sky. Whoosh! A figure neared Tang Ruyan. It was the little skeleton. Tang Ruyan was not surprised to see that the little skeleton would be able to catch up with her so soon. The coldness thawed on her face. Thank you. The little skeleton looked at her. The empty eye sockets gave the little skeleton quite a cute feeling. Tang Ruyan patted its skull and sat down. While the Beast King carried her forward, she took the chance to let her astral powers be restored. What? As the behemoth left, the Tang family elders were too stunned for words. Tang Ruyan has a Beast King? She has a Beast King as her own pet. If it weren't for the fact that they had watched her grow up, they would have never believed that the girl was Tang Ruyan. As that Beast King went away, somehow, Tang Linzhen felt as if a burden had been taken off his shoulders. He was a dejected man. He had prided himself of never having made a mistake, ever since he became the family head. The Tang family's prosperity was a case in point. But Tang Ruyan had proved him wrong. Maybe the biggest mistake of his life was to underestimate his daughter. He turned around and looked at Tang Ruyu. Tang Ruyu happened to be gazing at Tang Linzhen as well. She smiled at him, but it was a forced smile. Tang Linzhen said nothing to her. "Sir, we need to clean this up," an elder reminded Tang Linzhen. Tang Linzhen came back to his senses. He gave one final look to the girl who was disappearing into the twilight and nodded. On the roof of a high building in the Tang family compound, some people were standing there. They lowered their telescopes. The last thing they saw was when the Beast King ran toward the base city where the Wang family was located. All of them saw the same kind of astonishment in each other's eyes. They could not believe the outcome of that night's fierce battle. They had thought that the Tang family would fall. The Tang family had still lost its edge after trying all sorts of means. And yet, the change of events at the break of the day had gone beyond anyone's imagination. "Have you notified our family?" "Yes." "Damn the Tang family! Look at that girl! Is that really the future family head of the Tang family?" "No, I heard otherwise from what I could pick up from part of their conversation. The Tang family sure is mysterious. That Tang Linzhen is the most despicable man in the world. The Wang family is most likely doomed, and so is the Situ family. Our Yugong family must be ready. Yes, both of them are doomed. And here I thought we would be the biggest benefactor. Let's go now." Dejected and disappointed, they left at once. After that fight, the Tang family would become famous. Tang Ruyan in particular would be the focus of many forces. Wufeng Base City. 5 peaks in the city had been in existence since the beginning of time and had been well known in the world. The Wang family was located in the Wufeng Base City. That was a Class A base city with the devices and strengths to fend off Beast Kings. A loud noise was rising outside the base city. Tang Ruyan was sitting on the Beast King. They had arrived. The gates were closed and weapons were readied on the city wall. "They knew I was coming." Tang Ruyan squinted her eyes. That family head couldn't have arrived yet. She was riding on a Beast King, so she had to be faster than him. But he could call his family first. "Are you from the Tang family?" A titled battle pet warrior was speaking to her. Tang Ruyan stood up. "I am Tang Ruyan. I'm here to wipe out the Wang family. I hope the government will stand aside. Don't blame me if you get yourselves hurt. Listen, better make friends than make enemies. We don't want to be on your bad side. Please leave." You should have told that to the Wang family. Now, are you getting out of the way or not?" Tang Ruyan warned the man again. The man didn't say anything. The next second, all the weapons were fired. Laser beams were locked onto Tang Ruyan. Tang Ruyan didn't have time to react. Bang! The laser beams were dispelled. A figure was standing in front of her. It was the little skeleton. A puff of smoke emerged from the skeleton, but it remained unhurt. The little skeleton slowly raised its head, with 2 red dots in its eye sockets. Bang! The little skeleton was still standing in front of Tang Ruyan, but the weapons and cannons in the distance were either falling or being pushed away, leaving behind much dust over the city wall. The little skeleton began to vanish in front of Tang Ruyan. It had been an afterimage all along. The slaughter came down on them too unexpectedly, and there was no stopping it. Some battle pet warriors had not fully understood what was going on yet. They could not even see what was attacking them. But they didn't think it was a Beast King because they always were prominently large. All they could see, at the moment, was a white blur. The middle-rank battle pet warriors weren't even able to see that blur. What leapt to their sights was the destruction. "That's a Beast King, a Super Beast King." A titled battle pet warrior poured his astral powers into his eyes so that he could catch a glimpse of that blur. To his surprise, he saw a skeleton. He was sure that no common skeleton had the strength to do all that. It had to be some sort of mutated thing. A titled battle pet warrior, the man that tried to persuade Tang Ruyan to leave, ordered, "Gather all the titled battle pet warriors. Let's stop it." That old man had grey hair and mustache. He was a majestic-looking elder at the peak of the titled rank. He was a well-known titled battle pet warrior. The other titled battle pet warriors quickly came back to their senses. They gathered around the titled battle pet warrior. At the moment, working together was the only method for them to stop that horrifying skeleton. It's so fast. Outside the base city, Tang Ruyan stared at the little skeleton in a daze while she stood on the Beast King. The little skeleton was clearly the silent type. She had always thought that the skeleton was a cute little guy, maybe even a little bit silly. But it was too vicious in a fight. Wait. I'm coming. Tang Ruyan was eager to try. She couldn't sit around and let the chance slip by since the little skeleton had taken the lead and was trying to breach into the enemy's defenses for her. Roar! The Beast King bellowed to the skies and the roar's power even made some ripples in the air. Boom! The Beast King pounced at the base city. Standing on that city wall, the old man at the peak of the titled rank was gathering the others to prepare the formation. Several titled battle pet warriors had answered his call. All of a sudden, he felt a gentle breeze brushing past his back. A thing came to him. The white skeleton still had many splatters of blood on its bones and remains had been stuck in its cracks, pieces of torn limbs, and things of the sort. It was quite appalling to the eyes. The titled battle pet warriors that were gathered around the old man were panic-stricken to see that skeleton had sneaked up on them. They kept their mouths ajar in terror but were unable to utter a single word. That skeleton had overpowered them. The temperature was dropping. The old man was about to say something when he noticed that look of terror on the faces of people standing in front of him. They were staring at him, or, to be exact, staring past his shoulders. He felt a chill running down his spine. He felt that something terrifying was staring at him from behind. He could not breathe. He rolled his eyes and thought about looking back. Bang! His head was crushed. On his neck appeared a skeleton's hand. The old man fell. His astral shields and the treasures he carried just glistened for 1 second before they broke into nothingness. The other titled battle pet warriors trembled as the headless corpse fell. The skeleton had killed a man at the peak of the titled rank. That was beyond comprehension. They trembled and shivered like innocent children who had never seen blood, instead of acting like seasoned titled battle pet warriors. Boom! The little skeleton had disappeared before they could gather their thoughts. Consequently, the little skeleton ran past 2 more titled battle pet warriors. In front of the third titled battle pet warrior, the little skeleton extended its arm and used its finger bone as the blade to directly cut the man's head open. Brain matter was spilled out. Bloody! Cruel! The titled battle pet warriors that had just arrived turned around and ran away at once. Boom! The city wall trembled a second time. On the other side, a behemoth had just hopped onto the wall, stomping many titled battle pet warriors to death. The other battle pet warriors began to flee in panic. No one was thinking about guarding the city anymore. All that was left in their minds was fear. Dong, dong, dong. A strange noise was heard, like a drum beat. But it exerted a direct impact on people's hearts, messing up their heartbeats. All who abandon their posts shall be punished with death. Be prepared. Standing on a platform was an officer who was beating a drum. He yelled to the battle pet warriors. The casualties would only be greater if he allowed them to flee like that. He saw a ray of red sword light reaching him before he finished his command. In a hurry, the man raised his astral shield. 3 swirls opened up next to him, and 3 9th-rank battle pets crawled out from them. Boom! The battle pets set up shields and armors to fend off that ray of sword light. Before that noise went away, the man saw a slim and breathtaking girl emerging behind that light, charging at him ferociously. Stop her! That titled battle pet warrior shouted. He had realized that he was in no condition to beat that girl at the moment he saw that ray of light, not to mention that she was riding a beast king. He didn't stand a chance. Tang Ruyan snorted and stepped toward the man. Shadow tracing. Boom. Tang Ruyan was then split into several different girls. The real Tang Ruyan had snuck up behind him before the man was able to tell which one was the real her. She swung her sword and cut the man. From that cut, blood was being sucked out by the sword. As the man died, his 3 battle pets stopped their strikes as well. Some of the pets stood there in a daze. Soon, one of them with sharper senses picked up the horrifying feeling in Tang Ruyan. It was startled, so it immediately decided to run off. The battle pet jumped down from the wall and disappeared into the wilderness. Finally, the other 2 battle pets came back to their senses. They hurried and ran into the wild as well. I'm only here to find the Wang family. Anyone who gets in my way will be killed. Tang Ruyan stood in the air, holding the sword, and made her intentions clear. Everyone could hear her words clearly. The titled battle pet warriors that were running for their lives were forced to a stop. They wondered what had gotten into the head of their mayor. How come he had agreed to help the Wang family before he asked for information about that terrifying girl? He had placed the entire Wufeng base city in a dangerous situation. No one would stand in Tang Ruyan's way. The Beast King alone had frightened many titled battle pet warriors, not to mention that odd skeleton. Come on! Tang Ruyan summoned the Beast King that was still wreaking havoc. She stood on its head and asked the little skeleton to join her. The little skeleton received her command. It gazed into her eyes, stopped beating up those people, and rushed to her. Tang Ruyan was thrilled to see that the little skeleton had answered her call. While delighted, she told the Beast King to carry them to the Wang family territory right away. The Beast King hurried along the way inside the base city. Soon, Tang Ruyan had arrived. The Wang family's home base had been built on a mountain, one of the 5 peaks in the base city. The mountain rose to the sky and the buildings dotted the foot of the mountain, all the way to its top. Tang Ruyan thus commanded, "Break the mountain." The Beast King sprang to work. As the Beast King snarled, the ground began to tremble and so did the buildings in the area. The walls of the buildings cracked, revealing the steel bars inside. The Beast King bellowed and the stone column was discharged by the arched ground. The stone column collided with that huge peak. In front of the peak appeared a shield, which was just like the one outside the Tang family compound. The stone column bumped into it the moment the shield rose from the ground. The next second, the shield broke and the head of the stone column was also crushed. Rocks and boulders were rolling down to the foot of the mountain. Boom! The rest of the stone column spearheaded into the peak. Stop it! They're here! Whoosh! Whoosh! From the mountain emerged many people, all of them were titled battle pet warriors. From the swirls around them dashed out many battle pets of various types. The battle pet warriors launched a joint strike against the stone column, trying to break it before it struck the mountain. They're prepared. I don't see any kids nor women here. Tang Ruyan stood at the head of the Beast King, gazing at the mountain. While in the demon possession state, Tang Ruyan's red eyes gave her an enhanced sight. She could see the red images of people walking around in the building. The stronger her vision was, the redder the images would be. Judging from the people's height, she believed that they were all adults. It went without saying that the Wang family head must have notified his family and had secretly sent away some of the family members. Tang Ruyan would not bother herself about that. The Tang family would handle the rest. What she needed to do was to crush the Wang family's main force so that they would never be able to compete with the Tang family ever again. Tang Ruyan stole a glance at the little skeleton from the corner of her eye. Su Ping had told the little skeleton to protect her so that she could do whatever she wanted. As a matter of fact, if anyone wanted to strike back and target her, the little skeleton would make sure to quickly send them off to their deaths. Whoosh! She kanonied herself into her enemies. In the meantime, many people dashed out from the foot of the mountain. An ambush was waiting for her, all those people had prepared their battle pets to attack. The moment Tang Ruyan stepped into the attack range, bolts of lightning started to fall. An ambush. It worked. She was too confident. Nice. The Wang family's titled battle pet warriors were overjoyed as she stepped into the lightning bolts. Tang Ruyan is intimidating. So what? She's careless. She's too young and inexperienced. Bang! The lightning bolts disappeared. Something had slapped them into nothingness. Only some electric sparks were still roaming about. Tang Ruyan and a blood-covered skeleton emerged. The Wang family's titled battle pet warriors were panic-stricken when they saw that skeleton. They had learned from the government about that threatening skeleton when Tang Ruyan was striking the city wall. Is this the skeleton? The disappearance of the lightning bolts came too quickly. The Wang family's battle pet warriors were caught unprepared. The little skeleton had sprung into action. Sui Ping's order to the little skeleton was that anyone or anything that meant to harm Tang Ruyan would have to be killed with no exception. The lightning bolts belonged to a formation that the Wang family's battle pet warriors built together. As such, all of those people would have to be eliminated. A surge of dark mist seeped out from the little skeleton, floating about in the air. While the little skeleton ran about, the dark mist gradually formed a huge door behind it. Demons were guarding the door and they were gazing at the mortal world that had no value of existence in their eyes. The sky darkened. Boom! The door opened, revealing a swirl with a strong pull. Something was brewing. A profound and fiendish demonic aura emerged. The next second, a ferocious beast riding an enormous skeleton charged out. That beast was like a werewolf that was over a dozen meters tall. The skeleton it rode on was over 30 meters in length. The beast carried a spear that didn't glow at all and carried many markings of past battles. Still, people sensed that the spear could upset space and time alike. Following the night was a team of strange and creepy undead creatures that formed an army. What the heck is that? No. Horrible things. Is that also a beast king? No, 2 beast kings are coming. The Wang family's titled battle pet warriors were too shocked for words. That primitive door that stood in the air was surrounded by darkness and evil. The creatures that came from the other side of the door were all minions of death. That werewolf in particular, and the skeleton it rode were all beast kings. Counting the beast king Tang Ruyan was riding and the white skeleton, there were 4 beast kings. The Wang family's battle pet warriors, who were thinking about putting up a desperate fight, had discarded that idea in its entirety. This white skeleton was a demon incarnate. Boom! That werewolf answered to the orders of the little skeleton and regarded the little skeleton as its master. Leading the army, the werewolf dashed toward the Wang family's battle pet warriors. Within an instant, blood was spilled and lives perished. The little skeleton ran about amid the titled battle pet warriors, killing those people before they could put up a fight. Slaughter! Slaughter! Tang Ruyan was staying in the air. She could not believe this hellish scene. That was the little skeleton's skill? At the moment, the undead creatures that were coming out from the door in the air were raiding every corner of the mountain. Most of the undead creatures were at the 8th or 9th rank and the weak ones were at the 6th or 7th rank. That door was generated because of the little skeleton's energy. It was clear that it was the little skeleton's doing. One battle pet had been able to summon such an army. That was Sui Ping's battle pet. Tang Ruyan was having trouble finding her own tongue. She didn't have to do anything because the Wang family had been routed. One pet to eliminate one family. And yet, far, far away, Sui Ping was still busying himself with his store. Tang Ruyan was unable to find any words to describe her feelings. While the Wang family was being ransacked, news of what was happening had been reported to the other forces. Soon, all the major forces had learned about it. The news stirred up a huge sensation across the subcontinent district. Everyone who had learned about this were taken aback. Some people even got videos. They could not believe what they were seeing. They saw Tang Ruyan hovering in the air. The girl that should be the leading star in that show was doing nothing. The undead creatures had wreaked havoc in the mountain. Countless Wang family's battle pet warriors had died miserably. The most eye-catching creature of all was that white skeleton that had been murdering titled battle pet warriors one after one, as well as that werewolf. That werewolf had been summoned by the white skeleton. People knew that undead creatures could have the ability to summon other creatures, but they never heard about something that could summon a beast king. Not to mention too, how terrifying that battle pet was. Is that girl the future family head of the Tang family? I heard the future family head should be in her 20s. So, did I hear it wrong, or did you tell it wrong? That white skeleton is a rare kind. Take a closer look. Its bodily structure is quite different from the common skeletons. The structure and the color, delicate. You're telling me that it's a skeleton? That's a demon. Remember, stay away whenever any of you see this white skeleton from now on. Do not mess with it. Is that white skeleton her battle pet? I heard from the Star organization that the skeleton's master is someone else. As people watched the events unfolding, many forces were leveraging their intelligence networks to ask about Tang Ruin and that terrifying battle pet they were seeing in the video. The family was gone and the peak was destroyed. The undead creatures retreated to that mysterious door. The little skeleton, Tang Ruin, and her beast king stayed. A titled old warrior crawled out from the ruins. He cursed Tang Ruin viciously, "You and the Tang family will die a miserable death." Tang Ruin was nonplussed by that curse. She lifted her finger. Bang! A streak of energy penetrated that old man's skull. She was at a stage where she could turn air into swords. Killing people of the same rank was a child's play to her, not to mention that the titled battle pet warrior was seriously wounded at the time. "We are fighting. You either shed tears or blood. You should have been prepared for this when you attacked the Tang family. You're destined to shed tears," Tang Ruin said. The many corpses and the blood didn't soften her heart at all. She had been aware since young that the Wang family, the Tang family, the Yugong family and the Situ family had a complicated relationship. It had always been like that between them. The four families had constantly fought each other for generations. No one was innocent in such battles. Even a kid of the rivaling families would learn to use a blade to hurt the Tang family. "Let's go." Tang Ruin didn't linger. She flew back to her beast king. The little skeleton took the seat next to Tang Ruin. The beast king didn't welcome the bony pet, but it didn't show resistance. The demonic sense of the little skeleton was enough to even scare the beast king. Tang Ruin ordered the beast king to go ahead and run in another direction. She was heading to the Situ family territory. She didn't want to leave any more time for them to prepare. She also wanted to hurry everything up so that she could go back as early as possible. In the distance, some onlookers were quite relieved to find that Tang Ruin had left with her beast king. They had been quite worried, thinking that she would wipe out the base city in a fit of rage. The Wufeng base city would cease to exist if it were the case, because no one would be able to stop her. The Wang family is over. They used all the treasures they had and they lasted for less than 10 minutes. Since no legendary battle pet warriors came to stop this mess, I think that the most powerful family of the subcontinent district will be the Tang family from now on. The onlookers were in an uproar. The Wang family had operated in the Wufeng base city for hundreds of years, controlling the truth and flow of information, and yet they were no more. The skyscrapers that had been in existence for hundreds of years collapsed in less than 10 minutes. The mountain was also broken as well. There was no coming back for that mountain. The Tang family, of course, would not leave any chance of recovery for the Wang family. There were some remaining members scattered outside, lingering on in a steadily worsening condition outside. The Tangs would gradually hunt them down. That was how the fight between the big families would be. The outcome for those defeated would be their annihilation. The guards didn't stop Tang Ruin when she crossed the city wall as she left. The Wufeng base city's rank would be lowered to a Class B base city after the disappearance of the Wang family. The fact that the Wang family was gone was soon learned by all forces. Even the Holy Light base city, a seemingly unrelated city of trainers, had learned about this appalling news. Some of the Wang family battle pet warriors had once entrusted their pets to trainers in the Holy Light Base City. Those pets had forever lost their masters. More breaking news arrived before people could have digested that piece of information. The Situ family was also gone. Merely 2 hours had passed in between. The two families which both had once had legendary battle pet warriors had fallen one after the other. All the forces of the subcontinent district had a feeling that things were about to change, and the change would be a scary one. There wasn't even a hint of what was going to happen. The Star Organization. That girl from the Tang family destroyed the Wang family and the Situ family. One girl and both families are gone. It's barbaric. Have you seen the video? I believe that girl is young. And that skeleton. 9 titled battle pet warriors of the Star Organization were gathered in a conference room. Each one of them was a cornerstone of the Star Organization. Xieganj, one of the 9, was stunned still when he saw the video. He would never forget about that skeleton. It's that man's skeleton. Well, the color of the skeleton changed, but the size and the cruelty were still the same. Is that guy behind all this? Xieganj remembered having met that girl in Suo Ping's store, as well seen how people from the Tang family were trying to take her back. However, they had been unable to get the girl back. As a matter of fact, the Tang family had lost their armies and they ended up apologizing to Suo Ping. Unexpectedly, Suo Ping had been behind that strike. As far as Xieganj was concerned, that skeleton represented Suo Ping. He believed that the Tang family was most likely in Suo Ping's control. Once the Tangs grabbed the Situ family and the Wang family's assets, Suo Ping would be in control of the most powerful forces of the subcontinent district. Not even the Star Organization would be able to compete against him. He would forever be number 1 if no legendary battle pet warriors came to stop him. Suo Ping was in charge of such a formidable force. Xieganj was full of mixed feelings. The Tang family. Tang Linzhen was organizing people to clean up the mess in their family compound. All battle the pet warriors of the Sidus and the Wangs had either perished or escaped. At the moment, the only people standing there were members of the Tang family, as well as some captives. The Tang family compound, formerly famed for its landscapes, was at the moment in ruins and drenched in blood. While Tang Linzhen was busy at work, he heard about the death of the Wang family. Tang Linzhen took a minute to process that information. Tang Ruyan had reached the Wang family faster than expected and had actually destroyed them. Tang Linzhen remembered how indifferent Tang Ruyan was when she left them. He was lost in complicated emotions. Soon, he was informed of the destruction of the Situ family. While Tang Linzhen kind of expected that, he was still shocked when he heard it. Both the Wang family and the Situ family were gone. The Tang family would be the ruler from then on. Tang Linzhen immediately shared the information with the Tang family. People were still grieving after that tragic battle, but they were stunned speechless when they heard the news. Some titled battle pet warriors gradually convinced themselves about the validity of such astounding news as they recalled Tang Ruyan's performance. She was beyond comprehension. People went back to work. A beast was running in the wild, leaving the Wang family and the Situ family in ruins. Standing on the shoulder of the behemoth was a girl whose hair was dancing in the wind. It was Tang Ruyan. The pedestrians on the street were awed. They met the beast, its aura made them tremble. But, instead of escaping, people got down one knee to pay their respects. "Welcome back, young lady. Welcome back, young lady. Welcome back, young lady." All the kneeling people belonged to the Tang family, including the Master Battle Pet Warriors. Master Battle Pet Warriors would be among the upper-class circles in any other smaller base city. Still, on that broken street, they didn't think twice before they got down on their knees to bow. The behemoth slowed down after landing on the street. Tang Ruyan stood on the shoulder of the Beast King as she gazed at the people kneeling before her. She saw many familiar faces. She had once worked for a certain number of them. Some were even elite members of the family. But at the moment, all of them were paying their utmost respect to her. There had been a time when the Tang family abandoned her. This day, she returned with glory, winning everyone's respect. Tang family, Tang Ruyan gazed into the distance with a troubled look in her eyes. News of Tang Ruyan's triumphant return was spread across the Tang family compound. Tang Linzhen had been waiting for her with many elders when she reached the broken gate. She had wiped out the Situ family and the Wang family on her own. Without a doubt, Tang Ruyan was the most powerful person in the Tang family, the biggest reliance. Ruyan. Tang Linzhen hurried to her. Still, being wary of that beast she rode on, he dared not go too close, worried that it would attack him. Welcome back. The elders standing behind Tang Linzhen bowed to her. Some of them felt troubled. They had been the first ones to advocate for Tang Ruyan's exile back then. The main reason for that choice at the time was that they had thought the Tang family had suffered too great a loss just to get her back. The second thing was, because the one who had captured Tang Ruyan was a legendary battle pet warrior. They wanted to get rid of her to avoid crossing paths with that legendary battle pet warrior again. However, it had been Tang Ruyan who had returned in the most critical time, saving the Tang family and becoming the hero who protected them. Standing behind all those people were the ruins and debris from where Tang Ruya was silently looking at her big sister. Tang Ruya was aware that no one would object to Tang Ruyan becoming the future family head, given her current power. If Tang Ruyan wished it so, she could become the family head right then. After all, it was astonishing that she had been able to clean out 2 families on her own. That was something that only a legendary battle pet warrior would be able to do. While Tang Ruyan was not yet at the legendary rank, her strength wasn't too far from it. Whoosh! Tang Ruyan jumped off from the Beast King. I have finished the Situ family and the Wang family. They do have some remaining members scattered elsewhere. Tang Ruyan looked at her father. She suddenly noticed that she could remain very calm when she was with him. I'll trust you to take care of those matters. I won't intervene from this point on. Tang Linzhen nodded with a warm and fawning smile. But of course. We received the news. The toughest guys of the 2 families died in your hands, they no longer have a force to speak of. The remaining members won't amount to anything. Tang Ruyan nodded. She took a look around. The leftover ruins and debris did disturb her mind a bit. After all, that had been a place where she had played around when she was a kid. I will leave the recovery to you. I trust that the Tang family shall be safe from today onward, since 2 of the main families are gone and the Yugong family is afraid to compete against the Tangs, unless a legendary battle pet warrior comes. Tang Ruyan said to her father earnestly, while Tang family has been left practically without any true opponent to speak of, I do hope that you won't bully others. I cannot assure that I can get back at once every time. You're right. Tang Linzhen nodded. He suddenly noticed a detail about what she had just said. Get back? Are you leaving? The other elders noticed that as well, which was much to their surprise. I am no longer part of the Tang family. I don't need to stay here, Tang Ruyan claimed, coldly. Young lady, don't be like that. You will forever be the Tang family's future family head. One of the elders tried to talk some sense into Tang Ruyan. Your Uncle 4 and Uncle 6 were the ones who proposed abandoning you. The family lost 2 armies to get you back and the loss enticed the Situ family and the Wang family into targeting us. The family head tried to stop us from making that decision with all his might during the meeting. But you know how it is with the family, there wasn't anything that we could do. Tang Ruyan frowned. She glanced at her father. Tried to stop them with all his might? Tang Ruyan felt a tingling pain in her heart. She didn't believe it. But she wanted someone to tell her that this was true, deep down in her heart. She was fully aware that it could not be. Yes. I was forced to look at the big picture, being the leader of the family. If you're still angry about that, please do tell me. You return today, with powers far above mine. You'll be the new family head of the Tang family from today on. Tang Linzhen expressed his intention of handing over the position to Tang Ruyan right then and there. The other elders were surprised to see their family head being so resolute and generous. But that was not a bad thing, it could help them make Tang Ruyan stay. Given her strength, being the family head could bring much more benefits for the Tang family. Miss, we were wrong. I am sorry. I was one who proposed to abandon you. Please, miss, stay. People stepped forward one after the other, kneeling before her and apologizing. They were all titled battle pet warriors of the Tang family, some of them were honorable elders of the family. Uncle 4 and Uncle 6 for example, they were esteemed elders of the family, they had made great contributions to the family. However, they were kneeling in public to appease Tang Ruyan. Other disciples of the Tang family were watching in the distance. To their shock, the elders were willing to give up their dignity, all to keep her. Tang Ruyan was taken aback. Of course, she had never expected that the elders she had once held in high esteem would resort to such a grand gesture. She had to admit that a bit of her anger had been dispersed. She thought for a while in silence. Sir, please, stand up. Please stay. Please. We will get up if you forgive us, the elders said. They eyed Tang Ruyan with great anticipation, hoping that she would stay. Tang Ruyan didn't say a word to them. She simply unleashed astral powers to lift them all up. Some of the elders tried to fight back, but realized that they couldn't go on unless they struggled with all their might. Naturally, no one was going to do that. They could only stand up. I won't stay here. Tang Ruyan glanced over at the elders and cast a final glance at Tang Linzhen. I have to go back to the Longjiang base city after this. I only have my strength because of him, that man. I am his employee. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for him. Without him, I suppose, the Tang family would have been wiped out. They all stood there, dumbstruck. They knew that Tang Ruyan had once been captured by that legendary battle pet warrior. Why would she go back? She was working there? Why would she give up the Tang family for that? Without the Situ and Wang families in the way, becoming the most powerful family of the subcontinent district was a sure thing for the Tangs. If she were the leader of the Tang family, she would stand at the top of the entire subcontinent district. She would enjoy many powers and privileges, one word from her could be the life or death of thousands of people. Why would she give up all that for an employee position? Some elders wanted to try again. No need to say more, I made up my mind. I owe him my strength and I shall repay with the rest of my life. Tang Ruyan declared. They could understand why she had said that. They watched Tang Ruyan as she grew up, they were very much aware of her true potential. Back in the day, they had made a strict and extensive evaluation to determine that Tang Ruyan was merely qualified to become a decoy. She wasn't as talented as her younger sister, Tang Ruyu. They observed her for a long time and made her go through several rounds of tests. They had acted prudently, not allowing for mistakes to happen. For Tang Ruyan to have gained such strength had to be related to fate or a luck-related matter, something that couldn't be explained by talent and effort. That luck was most likely related to that store. And Ruyan, I believe that not even a legendary battle pet warrior can kill you easily at this point. Why belittle yourself by continuing as an employee? No titled battle pet warrior should work as store attendant. Tang Linzhen blurted out, he wanted to make Tang Ruyan stay. Also, what would people think of the Tang family if she were still working as a store employee? The other elders jumped in with worry. Indeed. I know there's a legendary battle pet warrior involved with that store. However, you're a different person now, and you have such a promising future. Why do you have to put yourself through the suffering of being an attendant? We can choose other things if you want to repay his kindness. We're willing to present half of our treasured artifacts and let him pick at will. I don't care what he names as terms as long as you can stay and lead the family. We're open to all possibilities. Please, do think. Tang Ruyan waved her hand to stop them. This has nothing to do with how powerful I am. If I were to become a legendary battle pet warrior, it would be because of him, because he transferred his astral powers to me. I'm here because he approved the trip. So, the fact that you could be saved is because of him, Tang Ruyan explained. Tang Linzhen and the others were all stunned. Did he approve the trip? That explained it. Indeed, Tang Ruyan had been kidnapped by that man. It was unlikely that she would go back without his permission. That is not wrong. Tang Linzhen was conflicted. He had to admit that he had to thank that man whom he had blacklisted because he had cost the Tang family 2 armies. Of course, Tang Linzhen would not go about and tell everyone he had blacklisted a man related to a legendary battle pet warrior. They wouldn't be so stupid as to go and offend that man before they made sure the legendary battle pet warrior was gone. I have to repay his kindness. There's nothing you can say that can change my mind. Tang Ruyan was getting bored with that conversation. They stopped pressing on the subject once they felt that Tang Ruyan was getting impatient, fearing that she would lose her temper. They could understand that Tang Ruyan would hold a grudge since they had abandoned her. They knew that forcing her in any way was out of the question. Tang Linzhen made another proposal, say you go back. I still hope that you can be our family head. He looked into Tang Ruyan's eyes. You're the best qualified to become our family head. We once trained you to prepare you for this position, you know everything there is about the Tang family. I know that you didn't become the true future family head because of some special reasons. But we can say for sure that you are more than qualified to become our family head. Of course, among the special reasons he spoke of was her weaker talent. Tang Ruyan was fully aware of this, but she didn't point that out. She just didn't expect that Tang Linzhen would insist on her taking his position. I don't have the time to manage family affairs. Save that for yourself. Tang Ruyan shook her head. She used to have so much expectation for that position back in the day, and she respected it. And yet, the position no longer mattered. Maybe it was because she had become a different girl. The fact that she could clean out 2 of the main families so easily had revealed her the vulnerability of those big families. They were unable to stand a single blow from a beast king. Power ruled. Also, she wanted to go back. As far as she was concerned, that place was where she was destined to be, her home. One didn't need a reason to want to go back home. Tang Linzhen curled his lips at the repeated refusals. Being the family head was such an honored and coveted position, and yet, she disdained it. He heaved a sigh. I can act on your behalf if you don't want to manage family affairs, but you'll still be our family head. The family will always welcome you. We will wait. The other elders eyed Tang Linzhen with surprise. That didn't sound like him. Tang Ruyan was determined. Why would he insist on having her as the family head? Besides, Tang Linzhen was still in his prime, he didn't have to step down. Tang Ruyan frowned. That settles it then, Tang Linzhen declared since Tang Ruyan didn't deny the last statement. Sir. Some elders wanted to speak but stopped on second thought. They had no objections to Tang Ruyan becoming the family head. What they didn't want was for her to go back to the Longjiang base city to be the family head of herself. The family head was the brains of a family. So, in the future, it would be like the body of the family was in the Yedu base city while the head and the brains were in the Longjiang base city. It would be so weird and uncoordinated. That's not good. Tang Linzhen darted that elder a glare, forcing the latter to swallow what was left unsaid. Prepare the ritual, Tang Linzhen said to another elder. That elder was in charge of such matters. Although hesitating, he nodded and took the order. Tang Ruyan shook her head. I do not have time for this. If you want, give that position to you. She's your future family head, to begin with. The Tang family will have nothing to do with me from that day onward. When you're in crisis again, I may or may not go back. Remember to behave. With that said, she jumped back onto her beast king, ready to leave. Tang Linzhen was frightened. Either way, you'll be our leader from today on. You don't have to stay for the ritual, but I'll keep your name on the record. You have the blood of the Tang family in you and you cannot change that. You will forever be a part of the Tang family. Tang Ruin frowned, displeased. Whatever. The Beast King took her away. After Tang Ruin was away, the elders began to question Tang Linzhen. Sir, why did you insist on letting her be the family head? Tang Linzhen shook his head at them. You do not understand, do you? Think about it. She wiped out 2 families on her own. She didn't have to do anything, and just the fact that she's the normal family head will deter any attempted strikes at the Tang family. When she reaches the legendary rank, her influence can protect the Tang family for 1,000 years. It was because a legendary battle pet warrior could leave for 1,000 years. Of course, unless being beaten to death. The Tang family was in great disaster and almost doomed. It was because of my wrong decision. I am the family head, but I almost got the Tang family destroyed. I have sinned. Tang Linzhen gazed into the distance and continued, I cannot have let her leave without making her the family head. She'll be the nominal family head and I will manage the family affairs for her. Let time do the work. When she changes her mind and when that man no longer needs her, she will come back eventually. So, Tang Linzhen was playing a long game and the prize was his daughter. She has made a name for herself. I believe that even the Star Organization will have to be respectful to us. Those families and forces that would rely on the influence of their late legendary battle pet warriors will have to behave themselves in front of us. An elder grinned a sinister grin. The other elders nodded in agreement. However, one girl had humiliated both families. Who is she? Clairvoyance, the biggest intelligence organization, had collected enough information in less than half an hour after the event. Tang Ruin, 23. Female. Former candidate to become the future family head of the Tang family. She had actually been a decoy to protect the real future family head. The talented girl reached the 7th rank when she was 18 years old. She once tried the Dragon Bone Tower challenge at Longta Mountain, the mysterious realm. She vanished directly from the mysterious realm due to unknown reasons. Later, people reported seeing her in the Longjiang base city, the base city close to the border at the south, but the rumor was never verified. Today, there was confirmation that she reached the titled rank. Probably at the peak of the titled rank. She had a Beast King battle pet, an unknown kind that had never been recorded. The other battle pet she had was a strange skeleton that was able to kill legendary battle pet warriors. Tang Ruin's information was dug out soon. Upon hearing this, people had to admit that the supposed decoy of the Tang family was mysterious and had a complex background. She had achieved amazing results on many occasions, including the past Elite League. She could be what people called a talent. But, that was it. The world was never short of talents. The change started to happen to the girl after she disappeared from the mysterious realm. Barely half a year had passed since she disappeared and reappeared. She was at the 7th rank before she went off the grid, then she was already at the titled rank when she emerged in public again. She had evidently bumped into a big fortune during the time she was missing. She leaped from the 7th rank to the peak of the titled rank. Even though there was no proof that she was indeed at the peak, she had indeed wiped out 2 families by herself, even calling her a legendary battle pet warrior was reasonable. Apart from Tang Ruin, another thing that had caught the public eye was that skeleton. According to some videos that got out, people saw how the legendary battle pet warrior was killed right after he arrived at the Tang family territory. He barely said anything before that skeleton killed him. That skeleton killed a legendary battle pet warrior with one punch. No other legendary battle pet warrior could have done that. A legendary battle pet warrior, someone that people deemed as the most powerful human being in the world, had died after a single blow. The skeleton also did amazingly in the Situ family and the Wang family's territories. According to the video footage, people noticed that without that skeleton, Tang Ruin and her Beast King wouldn't have cleaned out the 2 families so easily. She would have taken longer to finish. For a while, many people hurried to Clairvoyance to ask about the skeleton. All the people who were below the legendary rank thought that legendary rank creatures were mysterious. They were dying to find out the details about the skeleton and why it was so incredible. Of course, the details shocked the world. Clairvoyance was treating all the information about the skeleton as confidential. Some big forces went to clairvoyance, bearing heavy presents and money, but failed to get them to talk. Clairvoyance revealed Tang Ruyan's information but kept the skeleton a secret. Why? That was enough to make people wonder. Some supposed that the skeleton wasn't really Tang Ruyan's pet. After all, witnesses were saying that Tang Ruyan and the skeleton sat together as they flew back. She didn't summon the skeleton in public. The skeleton was also outside even on their way back to the Tang family. That was interesting. Tianlan Base City. Clairvoyance. Many flying battle pets were seen coming from a distance, while some were dispersing clouds. They slowly landed in front of clairvoyance. The battle pet warriors jumped off from their flying pets immediately and hurried to the door. Some of the battle pet warriors were at the master level and some at the titled rank. Either way, they were all walking as they approached. That was enough proof of the level of respect clairvoyance inspired. Clairvoyance was an intelligence organization, but it wasn't a weak one. To put it simply, it wouldn't be able to collect so much privileged information without the most powerful battle pet warriors. What a crowd! This day has gathered more people than the whole previous month. 2 titled battle pet warriors were hurrying into the clairvoyance building. The clothes they wore indicated which family or force they were from. The people in clairvoyance, influenced by what they constantly saw and heard, were able to recognize the uniqueness of each force and family's uniform when the visitors didn't deliberately show it. Those people must be scared, one of the titled battle pet warriors in clairvoyance commented after he smoked his water pipes. Look, the Holy Light Base City has sent someone here. Well. Looks like we have a she-devil here. I think people are freaking out. He chuckled. The middle-aged titled battle pet warrior nodded to the old man, but he sounded more solemn. It's natural for the Holy Light Base City to feel the pressure. That she-devil is now the nominal family head of the Tang family. If the legendary battle pet warriors from the tower don't make a move, no one can stop her from destroying the subcontinent district, and that includes us, clairvoyance. The old man shook his head. She has already left and I don't suppose she's that ambitious. The Yugong family would have been gone already if she wanted to unify the subcontinent district. She managed to finish 2 families so quickly. So, what was one more? She was just sending a signal to the other families and forces. She, the previous decoy, was not a trophy girl. The middle-aged man was surprised how the old man was able to remain calm. Man, I don't think you're the least worried. What you said makes sense, but this girl is just freaky. She's like a wolf mingling in a flock of sheep. Even a sleeping wolf would scare the sheep. I don't worry because there is nothing to be worried about. The old man grinned. Besides, say she's a wolf, there's still a tiger up here. A sleeping tiger, the old man squinted to hide the flash of terror. Sleeping tiger? Do you mean the tower? The middle-aged man was baffled. The old man shook his head but said nothing. Let's go. Time for us to be on duty. Don't sweat over such trivial things. You've just joined clairvoyance, you'll get used to such things. The old man stood up and patted the dust off his robe. The middle-aged man was a bit speechless. 2 families that had had a history of hundreds of years were ruined and that was not a big thing? Could there be bigger things? The middle-aged man caught up with the old man and asked, anyway, why did our master keep the information about that skeleton confidential? Where does that skeleton come from? That information was not just kept from the public. It was also confidential to some among the clairvoyance staff. The master must have his reasons. Don't learn what you shouldn't know and don't you dare go around and ask about it. You can get yourself in trouble, the old man cautioned his new colleague. The middle-aged man was startled. What could make the master so wary? Why couldn't they ask about it? Longjiang Bay City. Pixie Pet Store. Have you heard? The Situ family and Wang family are doomed. I cannot believe that. This must be some conflict between those big families. That's curious. I think I've seen the she-devil in that video. Mr. Su, where's that pretty attendant? I didn't see her today. The customers discussed. The destruction of the Situ and Wang families had reached even the remote Longjiang Bay City. Of course, such information was limited to those in the upper class. For people who were in the store, discussing the matter was proof of their social status. On the other hand, the information arrived much later to battle pet warriors without a strong background. They tried to be all ears and listen. I gave her a couple of days off, Suoping answered casually. Many of the customers were well aware that Suoping was far from being a common man. What he did could hardly be kept confidential. The fact that he had stopped the beast strikes and saved the Longjiang Bay City was stunning enough. The average battle pet warriors didn't have a clear idea about the otherworld Heavenly King, they just knew it was something more powerful than other beast kings. Because of all his fame and reputation, the customers would always behave when they stopped by. They weren't so stressed out when they realized that Suoping was apparently not the vicious sort. Mr. Su, you're so nice to your employees. Mr. Su, do you need more people working for you? I don't have to take a salary. Some customers began to recommend themselves. Suoping darted a glance at the customer. I do need more employees, but I do have a high standard that not many can reach. The customers were getting more curious. What standard? They were eager to have a try. If they could work there and stay with Suoping for a long time, they would be able to get much closer to him. This would pave a promising future for them. First, the person has to be at the legendary rank and the talents have to be good, Suoping answered without thinking. He was naming the standard for formal employees, thinking that anyone below that rank would be of little use to him. After all, according to his current cultivation progress, he would soon be able to take beast kings to train. Employees would be scared by the beast kings if they weren't at the legendary rank. That would be humiliating. Therefore, the legendary rank was the most basic requirement. Customers filled with anticipation were left dumbstruck. Just splendid, Mr. Su. I think Mr. Su's store is the only place that can hire a legendary battle pet warrior to be an employee. The customers still managed to offer compliments to Suoping. Suoping was a mysterious, powerful man, but they still regarded Suoping's hiring requirements as a joke. Legendary battle pet warriors were the most prominent group of people in the world. Even titled battle pet warriors would have too much pride to become an attendant there. Suoping noticed something while the customers were still chattering and joking. He took a glance outside the store. There was a long line outside. A person descended from the sky and landed on the staircase after Suoping looked away. Hey, pretty girl, don't cut in the queue. You'll get in trouble. Hush! What are you screaming about? Don't you know Miss Tang? Miss Tang. She works here. The customers who recognized Tang Ruyan immediately smiled at her. Many recurrent customers had become acquainted with Tang Ruyan who worked in the store every day. After all, a pretty girl like her would find it hard to evade public attention. Tang Ruyan smiled as the customers greeted her. Somehow, she was brought to tears as she looked at the store. She felt she was finally home. Indeed, the store is the most suitable place for me, she said to herself. She walked into the store, chin up and chest out. She was no longer the girl she used to be. The fact that she had reached the titled rank was noticed by many customers. And then, she tripped over on the door sill. Tang Ruyan, ... The customers, confused face, Miss Tang, the customers were still nodding as they greeted her. They never thought of her as just an attendant in the store. No kidding. People able to work in Suoping's store would surely have a strong background. Sui Ping had said just then that anyone working there should be at least at the legendary rank. The customers tried to sense Tang Ruyan's rank and the result startled them. The titled battle pet warriors among the customers immediately noticed that she was also at the titled rank. Those who weren't at the titled rank were feeling stressed in front of her. That would only happen when they were in front of titled battle pet warriors. This girl is at the titled rank? The titled battle pet warriors found it hard to believe. A titled battle pet warrior is working here? Some of the customers were still thinking that Sui Ping's legendary rank requirement was a joke. This title-ranked girl working as an attendant was enough to leave them gobsmacked. Wait, look at her, tell me that I'm wrong. All of a sudden, someone noticed her looks and clothes. They didn't make the connection just then, but upon a closer look, they were surprised to find that the girl who was working in Sui Ping's store was the heroine from the sensational news. Is she that girl from the Tang family? Soon, some people noticed the small skeleton walking behind her. The white bones. The people who had seen videos related to the destruction of the Situ and Wang families were rooted on the spot. There was no doubt, it was the she-devil who had flattened two families. That white skeleton was currently referred to as White Bone Demon. Battle pets could also have titles, but on rare occasions. Some famous legendary rank battle pets had well-known titles. That skeleton had earned itself the title of White Bone Demon. I'm back. Regardless of the stairs mishap, Tang Ruyan went straight to Sui Ping. Sui Ping nodded to her and motioned little skeleton to approach. The little skeleton walked over from behind Tang Ruyan to the counter. It stood on tiptoe but was still unable to reach the desk. All of a sudden, it placed its hands down its chin, and with a crack, the little skeleton lifted its head and left it on the counter. The nearby customers were pale with fright. Sui Ping was already used to this. He patted that sleek skull, feeling as if it were a pebble, and said to the little skeleton, "Go ahead and take some rest." The jaw of the skull placed on the counter moved. The little skeleton then placed its head back on its neck and adjusted it. After the head was perfectly set, the little skeleton nodded and went back to the pet room by itself. Joanna was leaning against the pet room's door frame. Joanna looked worried as the little skeleton stepped closer. As of that moment, the little skeleton was no longer a creature that she could afford to belittle, it would overwhelm her. Of course, to overwhelm Joanna, the girl that was also there. Joanna focused on the cultivation of the mind in this lifetime. She could soon make progress by relying on her true self if she wanted to improve her combat strength. That being said, even combining her true self with her Joanna avatar, they would still be unable to reach that ultimate rank. She had chosen to focus on training her mind because she could help her true self break the limit when the time came, to become the superior god of the demigod burial. He is getting better faster and faster. Not yet at the legendary rank, but look at that battle pet of his, not to mention the fact that the skeleton has the Skeleton King's bloodline. Joanna thought. She gazed at Sui Ping who was still talking to the customers. Whenever they transferred money to him, he would smile without knowing. Joanna rolled her eyes. That guy would have reached the legendary rank a long time before if he had focused on cultivation. She shook her head. She couldn't allow herself to mess up her own mind by overthinking such things. "Mr. Su, is that skeleton your battle pet?" someone asked out of curiosity. Sui Ping didn't answer. People who had heard about the Situ family and the Wang family were surprised by Sui Ping's reaction. Even though he didn't say so with words, he had admitted that the skeleton was his, the skeleton that brought fear to many. "Get back to work," Sui Ping said to Tang Ruyan. Tang Ruyan was irritated, given that he didn't ask her about the Tang family at all. She bit her lip and went to her post. "Sister Ruyan." Zhongling Tong approached her. "I thought you had left for good." She was obviously overjoyed with her return. Zhongling Tong's happiness warmed Tang Ruyan's heart. "I'm not leaving. I owe that guy something." "You mean my teacher?" Zhongling Tong had a theory of her own but didn't ask. The spots of the store were full soon after Tang Ruyan got back. Suaping declared the end of the business day. He began to categorize the battle pets after the customers left. Many people got out of the store in a hurry to let others know about Tang Ruin's return. Many battle pet warriors of other base cities had shown up after the Longjiang base city survived the beast strike, attracted by the base city's fame. Some of the customers in Suaping's store were from other base cities. The Tang family girl whom people were so vividly discussing was right there, in the Longjiang base city. So, the rumors were true. It was Suaping who was supporting the future head of the Tang family. Suaping again became the center of attention as people began to spread this news. Some even went to clairvoyance to ask about Suaping. But the people at clairvoyance refused to tell. Many major forces were confused, some had sniffed something different. Suaping had finished grouping the pets while people were going about asking about him. He was going to leave for the cultivation sites. Someone entered just as he was about to close the doors. It was a middle-aged man with a scholarly appearance. Suaping immediately realized that the man was an 8th-rank battle pet warrior. "I'm sorry, the store is closed for the day. Please come back tomorrow," Suaping said. That middle-aged man was a bit nervous. The 2 dragon statues by the door were so vivid that they seemed like living things. He was frightened by them, it felt as if 2 beast kings were gazing at him. "Hi, I'm here looking for someone," the middle-aged man asked. "Could you please tell me if you know a man by the name of Suaping?" Suaping raised his eyebrows. "I am Suaping." "You are?" The middle-aged man was surprised. He sized Suaping up and down. Before he made the trip over, his teacher had told him repeatedly that he had to treat Mr. Suaping with respect. The middle-aged man didn't know that he would be that young. "You're looking for me?" Suaping asked. The middle-aged man came back to his senses. Surprised as he was, he didn't think that Suaping was lying. Also, Suaping was stressing him out. "You are Mr. Suaping? My teacher is Han Yuxiang. He told me to ask you about something." The middle-aged man clearly said his teacher's name with respect. Han Yuxiang. Of course, he knew who that was, the vice principal of the best academy of all the subcontinent district, the Valiant Academy. He had entrusted Han Yuxiang to take care of his younger sister. "What is it?" Suaping frowned. "Mr. Han said that your sister Solingya went missing in the academy and wonders if you know where she is. Mr. Han told me to come here and see if your younger sister has come back home," the middle-aged man answered honestly. Whoosh! He dashed and moved closer to the middle-aged man. "What did you just say?" Suaping glared at the man coldly. The middle-aged man felt a chill running down his spine and felt he was having difficulty breathing. The look in Suaping's eyes turned his mind blank. I, he was stuttering and at a loss about what to do. He was surprised by his own reaction when he gathered himself. He, an 8th-rank battle pet warrior, was freaked out by a young man. "My teacher told me to come and look for your sister Solingyu," the middle-aged man finally managed to speak. Even though he tried his best not to look too embarrassed in front of a young man, the middle-aged man's voice was still shaky. "Isn't she at the Valiant Academy? How come you cannot find her?" Suaping bellowed. He did not even try to contain his anger. Solingya went missing? He trusted that the Valiant Academy would surely have surveillance systems. Even if they didn't have any security cameras, he trusted that they would have the strength and power to find her. I don't know. My teacher thought she had gone back home. We heard about the beast strike on the Longjiang base city. We thought she must have made the trip over upon hearing the news. So, my teacher told me to come here and," the middle-aged man finally found his tongue. He felt that he was going to faint under Suaping's piercing stare. Suaping was losing his temper. He couldn't have known if Solingya was back. He told Han Yuxiang to take good care of her, but then she went missing. Han Yuxiang deserves to die. He dropped the ball. Suaping had to calm himself down. The middle-aged man was stressed out. He was just the messenger, venting his anger on him would not get him anywhere. Su Ping called the mayor Xiejin Shui at once. Mr. Su. Xiejin Shui was surprised by the call. Is there anything I can do for you? Sir, please look up the access records. See if my sister has come back, Su Ping asked. Sure thing. Xiejin Shui agreed. That was a strange request. But Xiejin Shui didn't ask further questions because he could hear that Su Ping was not in a good mood. Soon, Xiejin Shui informed Su Ping of the result. No. There was no sign of Su Lingyu ever going back. She's not here. Su Ping's mind was weighed down. He had made the call knowing this was the answer he would get. After all, if she were back, she would have gone back home. She couldn't have been hiding somewhere for so long that Han Yuxiang's student would have to travel looking for her. Su Ping's face was even more clouded as he recalled that several base cities had suffered from beast strikes. If Su Lingyu had just happened to go through those base cities during lockdown, she would have had to stay in one of those base cities and she would be in danger. Su Lingyu had the Moonfrost Dragon, for sure, but what if she encountered beast kings? Su Ping called the Qin family. Soon, Qin Duhuang told Su Ping about the base cities that were under strike. Su Ping searched online and traced the path between the Valiant Academy and the Longjiang base city. Upon comparison, Su Ping noticed that those base cities were not on the way. That was to say, if Su Lingyu had tried to return home, she wouldn't have encountered any beast strikes. How did she go missing and when? Su Ping turned to stare at the middle-aged man, with a look that was cutting into the latter like a blade. The middle-aged man felt his heart skip a beat. He didn't think much of the young man a moment before. However, he became scared upon seeing the young man change into a different person. He had finally understood why his teacher had repeatedly told him to be nice to Su Ping. That happened a week ago, shortly after the Otherworld Heavenly King came to the Longjiang base city. Mr. Han said that your sister was in the Dragon Tower on campus the last time he saw her, the middle-aged man said in a low voice. Before he knew it, he began treating Su Ping with more respect. A week. Su Ping could not believe it. The force field appeared behind him. The temperature dropped as the demons appeared. They're telling me now after she's been missing for a week? Han Yuxiang is telling me now. Su Ping took a deep breath and clenched his fist. He noticed Tang Ruyan and Zhong Lingtong were standing on the side and the two girls were scared. All of a sudden, the anger faded away. Take care of the store, Su Ping said to them, I have to be away. Do not tell my parents. I don't want them to worry. Where are you going? I can go with you, Tang Ruya proposed. It's okay. I'll be quicker on my own. Su Ping turned her down. Tang Ruyan bit her lip. I'm good enough to help you. I know. Su Ping didn't say more to her. Show me the way. Take me to the Valiant Academy, Su Ping said to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was surprised. The killing intent coming from Su Ping was scaring him. What do you think you can do there? My teacher is also worried. He's been searching for her, I told you to show me the way. Su Ping snarled. Suddenly, the middle-aged man felt something had pierced into his brain. His mind was blank. He realized that he was drenched in a cold sweat when he came back to his senses. The young man was not a common battle pet warrior. He had never sensed that type of power, not even from his teacher. But his teacher was at the peak of the titled rank, the vice principal of the Valiant Academy. I understand. The middle-aged man was ghastly pale. Come with me. Su Ping shouted to the pet room. A figure came out. It was the little skeleton. It moved close to Su Ping and quietly stood next to him. In the meantime, a hot stream of air was swept across. The Inferno Dragon stepped out from the pet room. The middle-aged man widened his eyes when he saw the Inferno Dragon. The third rarest dragon. But that inferno dragon looked different from the textbook depictions, it also had some purple scales. How come this young man has such a pet? The middle-aged man was even more scared of Suo Ping. Suo Ping stepped out of the door and the inferno dragon followed him. He jumped onto the inferno dragon's shoulder and used his astral powers to hoist the middle-aged man up. Let's go! The little skeleton flashed to the other shoulder. Having received the order, the inferno dragon generated purple lightning bolts which lifted it to the sky. After the inferno dragon gained a new body with the purple blood dragon's origin pool, the inferno dragon had gained the purple blood dragon's bloodline. It had learned to fly, a skill basic to the purple blood dragons, and at quite a fast speed, even like the flying pets of the same rank. The huge dragon swiftly flew away. Across the street, Qin Dehuang jumped down from the second floor of his house and asked the two girls standing by the door, "Is Mr. Suo going away?" Tang Ruyan watched until she could no longer see Suo Ping before she nodded. She didn't say where Suo Ping was going. Qin Dehuang was a trustworthy man, but one could never be too careful. Qin Dehuang suddenly dropped his voice and asked, "Are you really the one who destroyed the Situ family and the Wang family?" Tang Ruyan realized that the old man also had the intention of seeing her. She didn't lie. Indeed. She nodded. Qin Dehuang was startled. He remembered fully well that Tang Ruyan was just at the 7th rank before. A few days and she had reached the titled rank. She had destroyed the two families. He would have never dared to boast that he could have destroyed the two families that easily. After all, both families had once had legendary battle pet warriors and they had legendary battle pet warriors join the tower. No one could anticipate how resourceful the two families were. The fact that the girl could cause such a huge sensation made Qin Dehuang realize the girl couldn't have been much weaker than he was. But he was a legendary battle pet warrior. On the other hand, the girl was merely at the intermediate position of the titled rank. Qin Dehuang wished to speak but stopped on second thought. Tang Ruyan guessed what he was going to say and told herself that she was glad the old man was smart. She sensed that Qin Dehuang was going to ask her about her progress, but she wouldn't say either way. That was Suo Ping's secret. Qin Dehuang was smart enough to not let that question slip his mouth. It was never a smart thing to ask about people's secrets. "Does Mr. Su need another worker?" "I want to have a try," Qin Dehuang said all of a sudden. Zhongling Tong could not believe what she had just heard. She wasn't interested in the cultivation path of battle pet warriors. Even so, she knew that this old man was at the legendary rank. Not long before, Suo Ping had claimed that one would have to be at least at the legendary rank if they wanted to work for him. This man wanted to work for him? He, a legendary battle pet warrior, wanted to work here? Zhongling Tong thought of something. She looked at the old man, alerted. That old man must have heard what Suo Ping had said in the store before. So, he must have been watching Suo Ping's store closely and would constantly eavesdrop. No wonder the old man moved across the street. What a mean little man! Zhongling Tong turned hostile. Qin Dehuang noticed that, which surprised him. Soon, he realized what went through that girl's mind. He forced a bitter smile. Tang Ruyan raised her eyebrows. She was also turning hostile, but for another reason. She realized that someone was going to grab her job. On the other hand, the Longjiang base city was of middle-level grade, located by the border of the subcontinent district. There were many base cities with similar names, sharing the character Long in them, which meant dragons. Back in the beginning stage of the world, dragons were the overlords of all beasts. When humans began to build cities, many of them were prone to adopt this Long character. They hoped that, like dragons, their base cities would stand forever, and that they could scare away some of the wild beasts with the character. Of course, the choice was seen as a mere assumption in recent days. Still, it was a dark age when the base cities were built. Using that character in the name was a common practice. The Valiant Academy was located in the most prosperous district of the Longyang base city. The number 1 academy of the subcontinent district was equipped with the best devices and infrastructure. There were also mysterious realms which belonged to the academy and students could cultivate in them. It was amazing. The students were from different base cities, but they had some similarities. Most were strong performers and had some connections. After all, compared to talents, resourceful connections also mattered greatly. With enough resources and support, even a less talented student could rise above his or her peers. The rich could easily turn his or her offspring into millionaires. On the other hand, the common man on the street might have to struggle for a lifetime to see a glimpse of hope of becoming a millionaire. No one had to be jealous of others. Resources needed to be accumulated, and that was just the thing people lacked. It was already great that someone could live a well-off life when his or her previous generations had suffered in poverty. The big families usually had a foundation built over hundreds of years. That was why they could have a vast supply of fresh blood. Making sure the family could last for another century was a difficult task as it was. High walls stood around the valiant academy and the greenery extended into the distance. Even though the academy was located in the heart of the Longyang base city, the surroundings appeared to be quite empty. The population was found outside that extensive area with plants and vegetation. Stores were crowded together, some of them were branches of famous brands that were operating in many base cities. Some stores would have celebrities ready to welcome the VIPs. One could see all sorts of celebrities there, singers, people in business, people in fashion, etc. Those people would be glamorous anywhere else, but they were nothing special there, because the truly famous were the battle pet warriors. People were able to see many titled battle pet warriors flying about, and they had become more than used to that. Inside the high walls was a vast world. There was a mountain on campus, the base was dotted with buildings. Next to a waterfall some young people were arguing. Behind one of the young people stood several battle pets, all massive and rare according to the illustrated books. Standing in the middle was a creepy-looking battle pet, its limbs that were also sharp blades dangled to the ground. That was a battle pet of the demon family, the Bloody Servant. Such a pet would be rarely seen, even in the Valiant Academy. "Punk, we have told you many times, this is Brother Nan's territory. Who told you that you can come in here?" A tall young man stared at the boy who was standing in front of the Bloody Servant. The former ignored the violence and killing intent from the battle pet. "This is a public area. When did it become his?" The young man with black hair fought back. He clenched his fists. The young person who carried sharpness and anger in his eyes was Qin Shaotian. Many major families would send their future family heads to learn and train in the Valiant Academy. Graduating from the Valiant Academy was one of the tests some major families had for their future family heads. He or she would be unworthy to lead the family, if the young one was unable to graduate with a satisfactory grade from the Valiant Academy. "It is because I said so. Don't you talk back to me. Get lost before I lose my temper. I don't have time to waste time with the lot of you here." The tall young man sounded very unfriendly. Those students standing there meant nothing to him. He could surpass them, both in grades and in family background. "You," another young man was hopping mad. If someone from the Longjiang base city were there, they would have noticed that the young man was Ye Longtian, the future family head of the Ye family. A boy with a handsome look stopped Ye Longtian from venting his anger. The former said to Qin Shaotian, "Shaotian, never mind. Let's go somewhere else since this is Senior Nan's place." Would you look at that? A smart boy." That tall guy snorted. Qin Shaotian eventually unclenched his fists and left. Ye Longtian had to leave with him. He didn't even try to cast a glare at that overbearing person before they left. Hot-tempered as he was a future family head, he was well aware that such meaningless things would not help and would only get them in trouble. Some guys coming from some insignificant base cities. Who do they think they are? Right. Their families never had any legendary battle pet warriors. I wonder where he got that Bloody Servant. A good pet for a loser. The friends of that young man didn't hesitate to diss and show their envy. The bloody servant was the second most powerful battle pet of the demon family. If trained well, it would be able to reach the peak of the titled rank, to be counted among the most powerful. One would have to beat the battle pet with greater numbers. No single battle pet could defeat the bloody servant easily. Forget it. The battle pet's master is the one who matters. It's just a bloody servant, so what? It's got a good bloodline, but the key still lies in the battle pet warrior. That tall young man didn't seem envious. His friends dropped the subject. People outside the Valiant Academy might have argued, but that was the truth in the academy. Battle pet warriors were the factor that mattered. That was contrary to the public opinion, which held that battle pet warriors had to rely on their battle pets. The Valiant Academy had instead taught all of its students that when battle pet warriors were strong enough, having mastered strong skills, they could compete with dragons of the same rank. How humiliating for us to leave like that! Qin Shaotian and the other two left that area. As they walked on the hillside, Yalongtian could not help but punch at the boulders. He had to find a way to vent his pent-up anger. He had never suffered that insult when he was at the Longjiang base city. Not even the Qin family had humiliated him like this. He didn't think that the Ye family was second to the Qin family. However, things changed when he got there. He still had his pride at the very beginning. Later on, after being taught many lessons, he had learned to eat humble pie. There isn't anything that we can do. Senior Nan's family once had legendary battle pet warriors, we cannot afford to upset him. Also, he got here earlier than we did and he's already at the 8th rank. I heard that he reached the 15th floor of the Dragon Tower some time ago. Only those at the upper position of the titled rank could have done that. The young man who had stopped Yalongtian shook his head. He, too, was upset, but he knew better to endure it for a future comeback. Qing Feng is right. We cannot get anything from angering them. Qin Shaotian had finally calmed down, but the anger was still hiding in the depths of his eyes. I originally thought that we could make a name for ourselves once we got here, to let people see how amazing we were. But we are merely the stepping stones for other people. Look at them. Ah, how insulting! Yalongshan punched the boulders again. He had hatred written all across his face. That's not a bad thing. We left that small place to see the world outside. We were too narrow-minded before, Lu Qingfeng went on calmly, the world is never in want of talents and freaks. I used to think that that guy was the only one in the world. But after we got here, I realized that there are many people like him, and this is just one subcontinent district. I cannot begin to imagine how many people like him there are in other continents. Qin Shaotian and Yalongtian descended into silence. Indeed. Furious as they were, they had to admit that many of their fellow students were freaks. Senior Nan was just one of them. He was a star performer in the Valiant Academy. There were people like him. Qin Shaotian and his friends thought that those who could fight others with a higher rank were the most talented. But that was quite commonplace in the academy, most students with mediocre performance were able to do that. The better ones were able to fight with those several ranks higher. That Senior Nan was at the 8th rank, but was able to reach the 15th level of the Dragon Tower, which was regarded to be something which could only be done by those at the upper position of the titled rank. One had to climb the Dragon Tower in its entirety without relying on battle pets. At the titled rank, even one position could mean a world of difference. We are still too weak, Lu Qingfeng whispered. After a moment, Qin Shaotian turned around and started to walk away. Let's focus on cultivating. Yalongtian took a deep breath. He patted Lu Qinfen's shoulder. They were hostile to each other when the three lived at the Longjiang base city, but they had become friends there. Let's do that. We may not be able to catch up with those freaks, but we have to compete among ourselves. I will make sure that the Ye family becomes the #1 family of the Longjiang base city. Yalongtian laughed after the comment. He walked behind Qin Shaotian. Lu Qingfeng watched the two speechlessly. One of them was an enigma and the other a mindless fool. Lu Qingfeng was unable to understand why the Qin family and the Ye family had chosen those two to be their future leaders. And Mu Chen was always alone. He could have stayed with them, but he was determined to make it on his own. But it later turned out that he could only be someone's minion. Lu Qingfeng shook his head and went after his pals. He didn't like Ye Longtian that much, but he knew that he had made a good point. They would never catch up with those freaks, but he couldn't lag behind those two. The number one family of the Longjiang base city will be the Lu family. I will make it so. Lu Qingfeng promised himself. In the meantime, a figure was fast approaching the Longyang base city's outer wall. The stirred-up wind was making a loud noise. Like a meteorite, that thing was on a collision trajectory toward the base city. Boom! A dragon broke free from the clouds. Standing on one of the dragon's shoulders was a man, arms crossed in front of his chest and his clothes dancing in the wind.